Hey folks, this is Jake Davis with a retro review for you today. This evening I would like to discuss Batman, Mask of the Phantasm, released in December of 1993, directed by Bruce W. Timm and Eric Radomski, starring the voice talents of Kevin Conroy, Mark Hamill, Dana Delaney, Hart Bachner, Abe Vigoda, Dick Miller, Efren Zablis Jr., and Bob Hastings as Commissioner Gordon. Really interesting backup. This film was not intended for cinematic theatrical release. The whole deal was, in 1992, Bruce Timm's Batman animated series that he also did with, great artists and writers like Dan Reba. They had, without question, the best superhero cartoon show of all time, if not the best superhero show of all time. Their approach and their just look and their grip of darkness while trying to play off the success of Tim Burton's Batman films as well as but try to build their own thing on it. It was really great stuff that they did with this show. So, they get this film, Batman Mask of the Phantasm, they're making it, and I don't know if it was after they were done or right when they're going into distribution level, but basically what happened was Warner Brothers said, well, the show's really good. This movie's really good. It's very successful. Everybody like it. Fuck it. Let's put this in the theaters. I had no intention of releasing this to theaters, and it did come out. It wasn't like a huge hit because it didn't have much marketing behind it. But it's a great film. It's a great, great movie, and let's run through it. The whole film starts off with Batman dropping down onto this gangster's operation. Guy's named Chucky Saul, big penthouse looking place, and he whoops. They've got some counterfeit money going on. Batman swings through the window, beats the shit out of everybody. Chucky Saul runs away. Chucky Saul's in the parking garage when he is attacked by the Phantasm, which is a mysterious vigilante who's out for blood, not justice, like the Batman. Chucky has a battle with the Phantasm. The Phantasm causes this kind of diversion, makes like a matador type thing. Chucky slams through the wall, the barricade of the parking garage, goes flying across the street, crashes into another building, killing him. And that's another thing. Unlike on the Fox TV show, these shows aired on Saturday mornings, and like right after school, so they couldn't really they couldn't really do a body count. There was this pushing, not only with this, but even before this, there was a few episodes called Batman Nights, where they're just doing the show, releasing the show at night, prime time, slightly more edgier episodes. I believe the Last Laugh appeared on that, the one with the Joker fish. It was loosely inspired by Joker's Five-Way Revenge. Anyhow, so now there is a killer in Gotham City, a new vigilante, and because Batman was seen at the scene, people automatically think Batman is behind it. Brand new, a young new lawyer, a new DA, and a guy named, I think he's a DA, he's a prosecutor, but his name is Arthur Reeves. He wants to nail Batman's ass to the wall, and if you know anything about Detective Harvey Bullock is for it too. Harvey Bullock's he's not a dirty cop, but, as far as he's concerned, it doesn't matter what good the Batman does or not. Batman is a criminal that needs to be brought down. Gordon, however, knows Batman's innocent and will have no part of this. Now, Batman, of course, is already on the case. He's analyzing glass and residue and all this kind of stuff, doing his scientist detective stuff. And we start to get an old love interest, and also a girl that Arthur Reeves used to know, named Andrea Beaumont, is coming back to town. And this is when we start to get the flashbacks and start to find out that 10 years ago, right before, after Batman had come back to Gotham from all his training, was going to the last steps of preparation to become the Batman when he meets Andrea. And they, it's kind of like love at first sight. She's interesting, she's unique, she's a little weird like him. And, they start, it's a whirlwind romance. They fall madly in love, like, right away. And this relationship is totally out of left field. Bruce Wayne wasn't prepared for this, so it's really throwing his whole plans of being the Batman off. he's starting to question for the first time in his life, is this really what I want for myself? Around this first time, we get a great sequence. Batman's first night. Batman stops this truck robbery. He's just leather jacket and a hoodie mask. And the guys aren't scared of him, but he still got his gadgets. He runs down this truck on foot and stops the guy Indiana Jones style. He saves the guard. He stops the robbery. And he stops the equipment and stuff they were stealing, leaves it there all for the cops. Now, while it's a successful mission, it didn't quite work because they weren't afraid of Batman. Which is, slowly and slower get more of his design and his look. I just could run through all the flashback stuff now. Around this, shortly after this, we find out that Andrea's father, Carl Beaumont, is in bad with some gangsters run by a guy named Salvador Valestra. And Chucky Saul was one of the guys who worked for Valestra. Now, Bruce Wayne is more and more, he's arguing, he's battling with himself. Great scene where he goes to the grave of his parents and just please just make it, say it's different now. Say I can be happy, that I don't have to be this monster, this creature that lives for vengeance and justice. And Andrea follows him there, and she embraces him. Maybe they sent me. It's this really wonderful, touching scene. Shortly after this, Bruce proposes. He wants to marry her, and he drives her home that night. The next day, he's exploring this bat cave he found under the mansion. When Alfred brings him the wedding ring, the engagement ring, and a note basically saying she's leaving the country, she's too young to get married, and she'll never see him again. And, there's nothing holding him back from being Batman now. He's heartbroken and everything. Great scene where he puts on the Batman suit for the very first time, and Alfred, guy who raised this kid, is scared at the first sight of the Batman. Pretty cool. So now we catch up in modern times with the cops looking for Batman and Andrea Beaumont returning to Gotham City. There's a second murder. A guy named Buzz Bronski, who is murdered by the Phantasm, gets the Ed Harris treatment, drops a big ass tombstone on him. Not even tombstone, like a damn gargoyle. It's a statue. Drops a statue on the motherfucker. And Bronski's dead. Bronski also was involved with Valestra. Around this time, Sal Valestra, who's this old man dragging around a damn oxygen tank with him, still trying to be top gangster, tries to ruffle up and harass, what's his name? Reeves. And, Reeves wants nothing to do with him. Batman is starting to put stuff together, realizing that that Saul and Bronski were guys who worked for Valestra, who knew Andrea's father, and he's starting to put the case all together here. So when he goes to see Valestra I'm jumping ahead. Valestra, out of desperation, goes to the Joker. Wants the Joker to help him kill the Batman. The Batman's knocking us off. Joker is barely interested, but yeah, sure, I'll take it. I'll do the job. Why not? That night, the Batman and the Phantasm are both on their way to Valestra's place, and the Phantasm finds Valestra dead, murdered by the Joker, with the Joker laughing gas, with a camera rigged in. I always wonder, is it a box set up on his lap, or did Joker carve into him and set up a camera? Probably the former, but yeah, that's where my mind went. Gore. So, Valestra's been murdered. The Joker blows up the penthouse just as the Phantasm escapes. Just as Batman's arriving, Phantasm and Batman have a brief fight. Cops get there, seize and block off the Batwing, and the Phantasm escapes. Now it's just Batman and the cops, which brings us to the coolest sequence in this film. The cops chasing Batman across the city. They corner him in an old construction site. Harvey Bullock's reading the raid. And there's explosions, there's gunfire. Batman eventually has to rig up his cape and cowl to some construction equipment to send it out to call as a decoy while he escapes. Batman, out of weapons, unmasked, injured, a head injury even, on foot running through the alley. No hope. No fucking hope. They're gonna get him. Andrea pulls up out of nowhere. He gets in the car and they speed off just as the cops are turning the corner. Great scene. Great fucking scene. It's a shame they never really, Sure, it's kind of inspired by the Frank Miller sequence in Batman Year One, which they pseudo tried to do in Batman Begins. They did the cool. They did it well enough in Batman Begins. It's a good scene in Batman Begins. It's a good scene in The Dark Knight Rises, but it ends too short. Just as it's getting fun, it's over. But the construction shot site scene in Batman Mask of the Phantasm is the highlight of the movie. So now Batman's getting bandaged up. Alfred's tending to him, and they're back at Wayne Manor. She confesses to Bruce that her father owed them money, and they had to escape the country to save their own lives. She didn't want to do it. She wanted to stay with Bruce, but they were going to kill her too if they didn't leave. Father eventually embezzled enough money, made enough money to pay them back, but they didn't want it, so now he's become the Phantasm. He's back to Gotham to kill them, and she's come to Gotham to stop him. Batman decides, they have a night together, and she leaves the next morning, and Batman is seriously considering, what does this mean for me now? Andrea was my everything. She was the only thing that kept me from becoming the Bat, and now she's back in my life. Around this time, just by looking at a photograph of that he's had throughout the film, they stole from the apartment, found as a photo of Valestra, the three dead gangsters, and Andrea's father, and a fifth guy. A fifth guy up in the corner, like a goon standing behind him. And Batman paints, takes a red pencil and draws a smile on him. And it's great. They're like, oh my god, it's the Joker. It was great. So Batman goes to Andrea's apartment that night and looking for clues. She's not there. And the phone rings. Answers the phone, and it's the Joker. Thinking he's talking to Andrea, sends a bomb, like a little... it's like, I guess it's supposed to be like a miniature, what do you call them? A kind of, blimp. Like a little miniature blimp. Come in with a big smile. Batman throws battering, it explodes. And Batman's all put all together now, of course. We'll get to the climax of the film. Andrea is outside of the Joker's hideout, which is like this abandoned fair. Joker always had the coolest hideouts in the comics and cartoons. He didn't really have a hideout in The Dark Knight, did he? Anyhow. So, Andrea's out there. She is the Phantasm dressed. You see the last flashback of the movie. Andrea coming to her home somewhere in Europe. And the Joker, before he was acid washed, is inside her house and leaving. Steals an apple on his way out the door as she finds the murdered corpse of her father. She goes in, bursts into the place, waiting to kill the Joker. Joker's all, whatever, it's Joker. He's down for a death fight. She kicks him in the nuts and slapping him around and all this kind of stuff. And he's, fighting her back with, hitting her with, salami and charging at her with a wisp or an egg beater. So Joker gets away and he lures her into a trap. He has this huge fan set up and the fan's trying to suck her in and kill her. Batman shows up on a motorcycle last minute, crashes his motorcycle into the fan, destroying it. Joker runs off. Batman tells her to get the hell out of there, and she begrudgingly does. The whole bit, what would vengeance solve kind of thing. Batman goes after the Joker in this great fight with the Joker, in this huge... a huge life-size model city. So it kind of looks like Batman and the Joker fighting in like Godzilla kind of style fight. Batman whoops his ass, knocks a tooth out, busts his nose. Joker's able to get away for a bit by sending these, sending biplanes after Batman. He sets a bomb for 5 minutes. Batman chases Joker back outside where Joker's hooking up a rocket pack to get away. Batman chases him down, catches him, and drags him down with the rocket pack on. They crash through this big set kind of thing, and they're busted up, clothes torn, injured, bloody. They can't even fight anymore. Andrea shows up, escapes with the Joker, tells Bruce goodbye. They just disappear in a fog while the whole amusement park explodes, and Batman luckily is able to. Basically just survives by pure luck, crashes through the floor, gets washed out into the sewer, and gets far enough away from the blast. We have a wonderful scene of Alfred trying to console Bruce, And we have another scene of Andrea showing that she got away. Somehow, don't know what happened to the Joker. He's still alive, of course. He's a vampire. He can't die. Andrea alone on a ship, alone, lost with the path she chose. And the last moment of the film is we see Batman on the rooftops. Failed, injured, heartbroken, going back to work. Fucking Batman. Now this is by far the best Batman movie. This is the best Batman movie they ever released in the theaters. It's not quite my favorite Batman film, but maybe I will talk about that one day. Anyhow, Batman Mask of the Phantasm is an absolute classic. And is far better than it had any right to be. It is so good, and so emotional, and so well made, and so thrilling that it almost puts all other Batman films to shame. With the exception of, I would say, 3 or 4 of the live action movies. None of them could wipe this film's ass. Anyhow, yeah, it's an absolute classic. It's probably the best 77 minutes you could have with your clothes on. It's masterful. It's brilliant. It's perfect. It's Batman as a character has never been treated with more care and with more respect on the screen, and that goes for the entire Timverse. Anyhow, I hope y'all like this. Like, share, subscribe, comment. What do you think of Batman Mask of the Phantasm? Or do you feel like the live-action films better? Do you like the Burton films? Did you like the Nolan movies? I did a retro review for The Dark Knight back in the spring. I did a retro review for Batman over the summer. So I filled out this Batman retro review trilogy. I had a lot of fun doing it. Anyhow, I'm Jake Davis, and I'll catch you on the fly.